Alright. Hello everybody, Assalamu alaikum, good morning. It's a little early to do this, right? If my dad was here, he's done this with you, he would make you probably do push-ups. And who here has done the one with my dad? All of them?
All of them.
So I won't make you do push-ups, I don't believe in that either. It's too early. But what I'm here, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Yusuf. I'm Christina's nephew, and I am the original homeschooled kid. All of you are because of my mom.
True. That's actually very true. That's actually true. Oh my god.
So I went through all the difficult stuff, so you guys don't have to. So I am a third-year student, a university student in Turkey. I study political science and history. And like you guys, I was homeschooled for my entire life, from the age of 4 all the way up to university. My first ever exam was my first midterm in university. So don't worry, I understand what's going to happen and the process and the idea of what am I going to study, how am I going to be prepared, am I going to be good enough? All of these questions, I had the same questions. So I started thinking about university and college when I first entered the equivalent of high school. So I was around 15 or 16. And at that point, we started to think, okay, if I want to go to, because obviously I'm not in the high school, I don't have a set path. When we're homeschooled, we don't have a set, okay, you're going to do this year, that year, SAT, and then boom, you're off to college. Because homeschooling gives us a lot of flexibility, but it also gives us also a lot of doubt. So we don't have a set path. So I started to research with my family, what do I need to do? What classes do I have to take? What are the minimum requirements? So my whole high school experience was basically just, how can I finish all of my requirements and get into college as quickly as possible? So that was the 2 years before university. And then with the university process, I was lucky enough where I just applied to a school, and alhamdulillah I got in because I had researched what the basic requirements were. And that's where the fun begins. Then you have to pick, what am I going to major in? And a lot of people, they pick their major by saying, okay, I want to make money. How do I make money? And this is a very bad, this attitude is going to set you up for a bad life, unfortunately, a sad life. Because if you're always chasing money, and if you do your decisions based off of money, it's never going to be enough. So when I went to pick, unless you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, then you have to do a certain path. But when I went to university, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't know what my next step was going to be. So I just looked at the university website, and I sat and I said, what am I interested in? Philosophy? No. Psychology? No. Economics? I can't do math. I can't do economics. Then I saw politics, and I said, I'm very interested in politics. Why don't I do politics? People were asking me, okay, what are you going to do with politics? I said, I don't know. What am I going to do with politics? It's fun. I'm interested in it. So I show up to my first year of university, my first day of university. This is the first time I've ever entered a school. I've never been in a school before. And everybody I meet, they say, what school did you go to? And I say, my mom's living room. And they say, but how did you get here? I said, I took an exam, I don't know. And like, there's a lot of, everybody looks at you and like, what are you? You're homeschooled? What does that mean? Are you mentally okay? Like, could you not go to school? Like, there's a lot of questions that come with it. By the second day, all of those questions were gone. Because from the first class, you realize something, that when you go to school, and the things you learn in school, they don't matter. I'm sorry to say this, but the things you're learning in Wildflower, the things you learn at home, that's not what's important for university. What homeschooling does is it teaches two things. It teaches how to think and how to learn. Regular schools don't teach you that. They give you a ton of information and they say, okay, here you go. I want you to know that, what's the thing, the powerhouse of the heart?
Mitochondria.
Exactly. They give you all this information. Not once in university have I had to ask what the mitochondria does. Not once. Because university is not based off of your previous knowledge. It doesn't matter. What university needs is it needs you to know, how do I learn? How can I think? How do I think? How do I put 1 + 1 together? That is what university requires. So something I noticed is that the people who are the top of their classes in high school, that we are on the same level. And even in some cases, I'm slightly higher than them because my whole life has always been about learning. How do I learn? Being curious. Their life was about how do I get the highest test result. So when I would sit in a class and I would be having a class, a political science class, a political theory class, more often than not, I get these concepts a lot quicker. And you guys will have the same thing because you're going to get to university and everybody's been through the same system. But you guys have the advantage of you know now how to think. You haven't been through some factory where they just teach you the same information and send you to college. So I quickly found in my first year that we are not disadvantaged. Of course, there are some things. Like for example, my first midterm, I didn't really know how to study for it. I kind of opened the slides and it was like, I don't know what's going to come up. But you learn, and you learn very quickly. And then with all of the other advantages you have, you will quickly surpass everybody else in university. If you're passionate about learning. Because if you're not passionate about learning, in my opinion, you shouldn't go to university. If you don't actually want to learn, if you don't see university as an opportunity to learn, and you just see it as a degree, go to Patterson Community College, get a degree, and then go live your life. That's what I found. I think that university is all about learning. And then once, like for example, I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. First year, second year, what are you going to do? I don't know, librarian, I don't know. Like there's always these question marks. But now slowly but surely I'm starting to see that I'm passionate about this, so I think I should go into this. I like learning, so maybe I should do my master's and become a professor. Or I'm really interested in politics, maybe I should go into being a politician, policy making. These are the things that come with doing something you're passionate about. So now I'm looking at a future of possibilities that I am passionate about. Not because I said, okay, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna learn business so that I can go to Wall Street, and then in Wall Street I can make $1 million a year, and I have a nice house, and my family and I can go to the masjid on the weekend. No, I did what I was passionate about, and now everything else is coming with it. So that's my university story very briefly. So now if you guys want to ask me any questions about getting into university, being in university, the floor is yours.
I had a question about the process.
Okay.
So a lot of homeschoolers, I feel like, are worried, okay, but how does it happen, right? How does a homeschool child even get into college? What is the process? Are they going to accept me? If my child wants to apply to an Ivy League, how is that going to happen? Are they going to need a different set of, rules or standards for them? Does it actually happen in the way that it happens for everybody else? Are we at a disadvantage? So what is your thought process on that?
We are at a disadvantage in the terms of uncertainty. We don't have the certainty of, okay, I have my transcript, I've done these credits, the university will just take them. So when you apply to a university, because I live in Turkey, we have a very different system. For universities in Turkey, we do a high school equivalency exam, then you apply with the classes you've taken, and more likely than not, because they just let you in. They don't really care. But in America, it may be different, because in America, you have to look at the requirements of the school. So you guys are going to have to take the SAT. That's most likely you guys are all going to have to take the SAT. You're going to have to take the SAT, and then you're going to have to look at what do they actually want. Because we always hear these stories of the top kids in their classes, they have 7.0 GPAs, but they don't get into the Ivy Leagues. Why? Because the Ivy Leagues are not only looking at your grades. They're not only looking at your school experience, they're also looking at what you've done outside of school. How can they judge who you're going to be as a person? Because you can't really judge a student only based on grades. That's the reality. You can judge a student based on grades by saying, okay, we know that he can do well on tests. But there's also a whole other world to that. And in homeschooling, we have an advantage in that we can adapt better to what these schools want. So I can look at the Rutgers website right now, and the Rutgers website will have certain requirements. They'll say high school degree or equivalent, SAT, this, and that. I can knock these requirements out in a quarter of the time that a regular high school student can. And in the meantime, I can also improve myself to give me a better advantage. So we can't look at high school as homeschooling as a replacement for high school. This is not a replacement for high school. You guys are just taking the requirements for high school and then adding the actual important stuff to it. Because the SAT, in all honesty, doesn't tell you anything. It's not important. I can be stupid and get a 1600 SAT because I know how to take a test. That's why universities are no longer fully focusing on these things, because you can only learn so much from the exams. So my advice to you guys would be, once you get to a point where you're passionate about something, look at the website. They'll have admission requirements and say, they'll say we want this, this, and that. Do those things. At the same time, learn how to code, learn how to trade, learn how to do things that make you more multifaceted as a person. Because you want to be in a position in life where you know a little bit about everything, not just a lot about one thing, because that's not very helpful. You should know as much as you can. You should learn as much as you can. I study political science, and on the side, I do coding. I mean, not coding, I do trading. I learn how to trade. I take classes from completely different majors just because I'm interested in them. So, yes, that's what I have to say. Any other questions? Who here is thinking about university now? Like, who here is thinking about going to college? I know the people in the you three in the back are definitely thinking about it. So what are you guys thinking about doing?
I'm going to trade school, not university.
Wow, that's really great. That's really awesome. And what are you going to do specifically there?
Culinary school.
I wish I went to culinary school. I love cooking. That's a big passion of mine. So when you decided I want to go to culinary school, did you look at the requirements, or what are the requirements to go to culinary school?
I mean, the requirements are fairly basic. It's, like you said, like a high school diploma or equivalent, so I took the GED. They don't even want the SAT score. And then like the basic information and then like just like ID things and any extra things you've done. That's pretty much it. Like, it wasn't very crazy. They have a whole program for like high school age students.
Mhm.
So that's pretty much it.
Okay, that's great. I really like that. Amira?
If I don't know what I want to do, and I want to obviously, I want to apply to the college that has the best, reputation for whatever I want to go into. But each college has different requirements. So how am I supposed to prepare for requirements if I don't know?
That's a good question. The basic core requirements for every university in America, pretty much the same. From when I was researching, you need a GED or an SAT. So you need a high school equivalent. And
what if I take the ACT?
It's the same thing.
I don't know these things. I took the GED in a basement. I don't know standardized testing, but there are basic requirements, like I said. So, what are you looking at studying? What are you thinking about studying?
Medical, but I want to still just wait and hold off the next 4 years.
Okay, so medical school and becoming a doctor is a different path than what I was talking about, because what I was talking about is a more social sciences approach. But in medical school and being a lawyer or when something is very specialized, you need to follow that path. So if you want to be a doctor and you're passionate about being a doctor, you need to study biology and you need to take organic chemistry, and there's a path that you have to take. My approach was for somebody who doesn't have a path yet. But if you want to be a doctor, there is a path that you have to follow. That's what you're passionate about being. You can't take my approach for things like being a doctor, being a lawyer, because for those things are very, very, very specialized. So it's a path. You have to do 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of med school, and then you're specialized. So you know what you have to do there. But that's what you're passionate about, then, and you want to be a doctor, you want to go into medical school, you have to follow those requirements. What's your name? And I
had the same question, sure, because I was interested in anything in the medical field too.
So if you guys want to go into the medical field, then you also have an advantage, because you don't have to start at 18 or 19 like when my first year of university, I was 16 years old. The people in my class, the freshmen were 19 at the least. like 19, more to 20. There's kids in my class who are 21.
Why don't you go to college?
Because, exactly. Because high school is just setting you up for college. That's all high school is. What if I just took the 4 years, did it in 6 months, and get on with my life? So say you want to go to medical school. You want to go to medical school. You know that the requirements to get into medical are this, and that. Do it now. Start. So you don't have to finish studying at 31. You can be 28, 26, 25. So that's the advantage you have. So you guys want to do a specific thing, you don't have to wait 4 years. There's no reason to wait. Do it now and start. And if you want to change your mind, good. We know somebody who went to medical school, decided after medical school, I don't want to be a doctor, became a lawyer because he started early. You have an opportunity now. So even if you go to medical school and then when you're 20, you're like, I don't want to do this, you haven't lost anything. You've gained a medical degree, now you can go do what you actually want to do. So there's like this idea that like, I need to be sure, because if I'm not sure that I'm going to start something I don't. Start. If you don't like it, change. I started political science and I saw history. I like history, so I added history to it. I added economics and I said, I don't like economics, so I removed it. You can change. You don't have to decide from now what you want to do. Just find the general, like, this topic interests me and start.
I have a question.
Yes.
So one question that constantly comes up, mostly with parents, is that as a homeschooler, right, we're given so much freedom and flexibility. So like you said, like, I don't like this curriculum, I'm going to switch. I'm going to do something different. I don't really like this teacher, I'm going to drop this class, I'm going to do another one. So some of the parents were saying, how does that set you up for success at college when at college you really don't have that much freedom and flexibility? Like sometimes you have to take the course with the sucky professor who's going to assign you all this work and you're not going to have that ability to change and move. So do you feel like that's a disadvantage for homeschoolers where they're not going to have that skill of like pushing through something, or do you think that's not true?
I think that homeschooling sets you up to make the best of what you have. I think that when more often than not, we'll go, at the beginning of every semester everybody says, we have this class, this guy, his mother did not love him. Everybody has this preconceived idea, and I go into the class, and the guy's fine, he doesn't want to be there, you can tell he doesn't want to be there, but I'm able, and you guys are going to be able to just make the best out of the situation. So I don't agree with the, if you don't like something, drop it thing, unless it's not beneficial. So if you are taking a curriculum and it's beneficial, it doesn't matter if you like it or don't like it. That shouldn't really matter. If it's a beneficial thing to get you to college, do it, get it out of the way, and move on. You shouldn't take homeschooling as a way to do whatever the hell you want. That's not how homeschooling should be. That should be how it is in college, sure. But in homeschooling, you're just trying to get the basics as quickly as possible. So if you're taking a math class and you don't like it, these math classes last how long? 14 weeks, like a semester, 2 semesters at most. Make the best out of it, get what you need out of it, and then leave it. I've taken so many homeschooling classes that were so pointless to me. I was like, why am I taking this? English literature class. I've taken more English literature classes than there are kids in this room. But once you get older, like when I got older and I started to okay, let me just take this piece of information from it. If I don't take anything, let me just take this. And then more often than not, I had already read all of these things when we got to university. I took an English literature class in my first year of university. And every single piece of literature on the curriculum, I had already read, I had already written papers on. So I had a huge advantage. So if your parents, this is more about your parents as well than you guys. If the parents don't like a course, if they just don't like it because they don't like the timing or they don't like the professor, but it's still beneficial, then my opinion that you have to do it. But if you're taking it, it's just like if it's just something to tick a box to tick off and it's not beneficial and you don't like it, then I think you should change. So there has to be different now.
So I think sometimes we get stuck in like math. So maybe this math geometry curriculum with this particular style author, child is having a difficult time, with it. But so it's not saying drop geometry completely. It's saying, well, maybe let's switch to this geometry curriculum or that one. So that's where I feel like a lot of homeschooling parents are flexible, but then you're kind of teaching your child that you don't grit through this thing that you're having difficulty with, where you keep finding the path that's comfortable for you. I think that's where they fear when you get to university.
But in university, you are more often than not teaching yourself.
Okay.
So I think in homeschooling, the professor is giving you the information and you have to learn it in the professor's way. So when you are in homeschooling, if I've done Kumon, Singapore math, I've done all of them, China math, like all of the, and none of them work for me because I'm not good at math. So,
Did you find one that worked for you?
no.
You finished math, right?
No.
No. You didn't?
How far did you go? Like algebra?
I think I got the pre-calc.
Oh, okay.
So like algebra.
That's college level.
No, I got like algebra 2. I wasn't good, but I got to it.
Yeah.
I got through it.
So we have a lot of students that tell us, I'm not going to use math ever again. So what do you think? Like, is there a place for it? I think we do need it for a lot of colleges.
I'm in the social sciences, and I've never had. Okay, look.
No,
Again,
be honest.
I'm in social sciences, so that means I don't really use math. I took one. No, I wanted to do an economics degree. That was the first time I was like, I suck at math. But when I'm studying political theory, historical methods, I've never had to use math. So it's highly subjective on what you want to do. So like Amira, she wants to go into the medical field, she needs to be good at math.
No, but what about like getting into college? Do you think it's
What's
subject?
what's the actual like math we need for college? You need the SAT math,
Yeah.
and then are you ever going to use SAT? I remember studying for the SAT and getting my like 1590 on my practice test and never looking at an SAT like math book again, like or in that specific. So we need math, and I feel we need math to get to a certain level to get into university. Look, we're not dumb, and then get through it.
But also you use math in your trading, in your stocks, when you're out buying things at the market, when you're deciding what's a better sale. There's a lot of math you use day to day that requires you to get that mathematical thinking basics.
No, absolutely.
That's not pre-calculus,
Plus,
it's
I
algebra.
think two other benefits.
That's like addition.
No, it's
I was just saying, two other benefits that come to mind are, I think building grit, like, you know, just getting through a subject regardless. And the second one is like, you know, when you learn another language, even if you don't end up using it, it develops the mind in a certain way that helps you in other fields. So I think math is kind of similar to that.
That's what I was saying about that homeschooling teaches us how to learn. So I go to school in Turkey. All my friends are Turkish. I speak now to a certain extent Turkish, and I'm able to pick these things. I'm able to pick up the language quicker because I'm able in general to pick things up faster than them. Because not only have I gotten like my education taught me again how to learn. So because I got through math, even though I wasn't good at math, it taught me that okay, if you don't know something, this is the path to get to it. So homeschooling teaches you that because we don't have a teacher in homeschooling that is sitting and saying, okay class, there's a whiteboard, he's going through it again and again and again. We have YouTube videos and we have the online professor and we sit and then after we're done the 50-minute class, we have to go and we have to figure it out for ourselves. We have to go speak to my mama, I don't know how to do this. Then you have to sit and you say, okay, you take the X and then you have to go through it. You have to go through the process. So that process is what is beneficial in university. Of course, I'm not saying math is not important. Math is important. But the process of learning math and things like it is what's important. So, for example, in my first year, we had to take a natural science class, and that's where we saw mitochondria and stuff like that. I didn't know physical sciences. Like I came in, like I know that like if you drop something, it goes down, it hits the ground, it's gravity. Like I know like the basics. Like I've seen all the videos and I've been to all the workshops in the science museum, but I don't know the details. But my friends all know the details because this is what they've been doing for 4 years in high school. So obviously, they're going to do much better than me, right? No. Even though they had been doing this for 4 years and I've barely done it, I walked in and I saw on the first day of class, I realized that I don't know anything about this stuff. I realized that I don't know this stuff. So I had to take the textbook, the teacher would give us the lesson, I wouldn't really listen to what the professor said, I would go home, I would open the book, and I would look through 1, 2, 3, 4, and by the end of it, I was the highest like I was the highest scoring student in the class. Not because I have a prerequisite, because I know how to learn now. So when you reach these obstacles, homeschooling will help you get over it. When my friends reach these obstacles in university, we're reading historical method and they don't understand how Ryan K is different than Ibn Khaldun. They're not really able to get over it. They need the professor to tell them specifically. They need the professor to say, okay, this difference is this, and that difference is this, and that. Me and other people who are homeschooled, we're able to do it by ourselves because we've been doing it by ourselves our whole lives. So I think that homeschooling is an advantage, not a disadvantage when you go to school. Because everybody's going to be exactly the same. They're all going to be a carbon copy of each other, except for you. Now, it also depends what you make of it. If you go in there and you just want to be like everybody else, you just want to have fun, you're not going to do well. Because you're not going to do well. You're going to do worse than all of them because you're not putting in the effort, you're just there to have fun, and you have less of a basis than they do. But if you go in there actually to learn, you actually want to go to college, you are going to excel, and you are going to beat all of them. So I'm not going to tell you that homeschooling is like a secret. It is what you make of it. If you want to get an A and you're in university, you want to graduate, you want to do something you love, you're going to get that A. If you want to you're just doing it for the process, you're going to do it from the process, you're going to graduate with a 3.3 GPA, you're going to get your diploma, you're going to move on with life. It is what you make of it. That's life. So just because we're homeschooled doesn't mean you're at a disadvantage. You're not at a disadvantage. You have a set of tools. Whether you choose to use those tools or not is up to you. So it's about your mindset as well. When I went to university, everybody asked me, okay, you've never done an exam before, you've never had a pop quiz before. You've never had friends before. Like how? Yeah, we have pop quiz. You have all these deficiencies. Like at best, you're gonna be a B+ student who's kind of cute around campus. Like, hi everybody. like the pet. I could have done that. I could have hung around university and been like, I was homeschooled, so I don't have the stuff that you guys do. But I didn't. And I've never met a homeschooled kid who has it either. So your deficiency is not homeschooling. Your deficiency is you. So you either like buck up and understand that you have an advantage, or you're gonna fail in university. So it's really what you make of it. And that's it. That's homeschooling. Homeschooling is what you make of it. I know people who've suffered in homeschooling because both the parents and the students the parents and the kids didn't know what to make of it, and they were just along for the process, and it blew up, and the kids ended up back in school because for some people that's what is better. Homeschooling is not for everybody, but for you guys, from what I've seen, homeschooling is for you. So continue understanding that what you are learning in Wildflower and what you are learning in homeschooling is not that whatever they're teaching you. That's part of it, but it's also that you are learning how to do things by yourself. How many kids are here? Like there's a ton of kids.
24.
There's 24, 25 kids. There's four parents here. There's 4 teachers here. That means that you guys are not able to get one-on-one time. You're not able to, Khalza Christina, I don't know, what do they call you, Mrs. Christina? Sister Christina, Nun Christina, whatever you guys call her.
None?
Whatever you guys call her, she cannot sit with you and take you through everything. So you guys also have to learn how to learn for yourselves. And if you can do that, university will be a breeze for you, life will be a breeze for you, because there will be nothing you can't overcome by yourself. And that's it. This is homeschooling. So go, be great, do your thing, and be passionate about learning. If you're not passionate about learning, this is not just for life in general, it's going to be harder for you. Because you're going to see everything as I am just here just to get this degree and get going. Because if you do that, okay, I know people who do that and they're doing great in life. But it's also a very dangerous path. You're just doing things just to get the result. If you're not actually enjoying the process, then 99% of life is the process, 1% is the result. So if you're just doing everything for the result and you don't care about the process, 99% of your life is going to seem useless to you.
Do you feel like you missed out on anything, or do you regret anything, or you wish things would have been differently?
No. I think that, alhamdulillah, where I am right now and the tools I was given, I can't be in a better place. Like where the university I'm going to, the people I'm surrounded with, the path I took to it, I don't think there has been a better way for me to do that. But there's also homeschooling is subjective. It's not the same for everybody. It's not 100% success rate, but you can control it.
Nothing is 100% success rate.
You know, I'm saying you're not all of you are gonna go to university like I did and love university. You might not like it, but the thing is, even if you don't like it, you still have to take what you can from it.
I also want to point out that these guys have a lot of friends in the homeschooling community, whereas you grew up alone homeschooling, right?
Well, I grew up in London, so I grew up in London.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up in New Jersey.
There was nobody homeschooling in New Jersey when you were young either.
Yeah, like I am the original. I'm the go, as they say. My mom is the go.
Yes,
My mom,
inshallah.
yeah. But I never lived in New Jersey. From the age of 4, I lived in London, and after I lived in Turkey. In London, a lot of kids are homeschooled. A lot of kids, and I never felt that I didn't have a friend group. Because we would always go to the museum, and there'd be like the big homeschooled group of kids, and we'd be walking through, and we'd all have fun together. If I wanted to learn about Paris, we could go take the train to Paris. Like we had a lot of flexibility that people in school don't have. You guys have it as well. If you want to learn how apples grow, you can just drive down to a farm and spend the day learning how apples grow. A kid in school can't do that. They have to sit in the classroom and they say, okay, the seed goes in and we cover it. You don't have that flexibility to learn in depth. So, yeah.
Any other questions, guys, for Yusuf?
Even the younger one, yeah.
We're not even the ones that had the questions. It was you.
Anybody have questions?
What are the professors for if you're just teaching yourself everything?
The professors are there to guide you.
Like
profe-
mentors, like
They're not even mentors. The professors are there to show you what's important to learn.
That's why they're not called mentors.
What's your name? What's your name?
Rahim.
Rahim? I'm going to keep you in mind.
That's a son for you, Miss Fahmy.
Yeah, I know who he is. I can tell. Because he keeps looking at his sister. So, professors are there because we, in homeschooling, we don't know what to learn. Like, we don't, Khatib doesn't wake up in the morning and know, okay, today they need to learn this, and that. It's not something that's intuitive. When I learn history, I don't know where to start and where to end. Professors are there to show you, okay, for example, I take historical methods class. Professors show me, okay, we are going to start with Ibn Khaldun and his historical method, and we're going to move on. But then there are readings. The professors are there to give you the highlights, the really important stuff, and you're supposed to already have read it. You're supposed to have read it, you're supposed to know the path we're going along. Like, it's like, imagine just like a guide. He's just a guide, like in a video game, he's just taking you through, but you have to do all the challenges. So if you look at anybody in life as somebody who's going to just give you the answers, give you the keys, it doesn't work like that. They're here to show you, okay, here is the keyhole, here is how you make the key, do it. That's all it is. So my best professors are not the ones who explained it to me the best. They're the ones who showed me what the most important things to understand are and why they're important to understand.
and then you have to figure out, like you have to understand it, like on your own time.
Of course they're not going to leave you alone. They're going to give you the basics. They're going to say, okay, Ibn Khaldun, his historical method was this, and that. Here is a book. Here are 10 pages specifically on. He can't sit there and read the 10 pages one by one to you. You have to read it, and based on what he says, connect the dots. So he's giving you a very loose skeleton, and all the meat and all the features are coming from your reading. Do you have a question?
Why are the classes like 6-7 hours long?
What classes?
Like in college?
Who has 6-7 hour classes?
My
I've never had.
sister.
Your sister.
No,
She's
she's
lying.
in art classes. Those are different.
So in university, so my classes, I have one class a week for 2 hours with a break in the middle.
That's it?
That's it.
You want to be longer?
No.
If you want it to be longer, we have 3-hour classes. I'll talk to them and get you in those. But the class, it's not like, you don't sit there at 9 a.m. Until 5 p.m. and then leave. No, it's a 1 hour lecture. In the lecture, he's giving you the information that you need to know, and you're going home and you're learning the rest. And if he's a good professor, you know what you need to learn, why you need to learn it, and where to learn it. If he's a bad professor, like I had a class once, the professor said, okay, he walked in and he said, you have to read these things. I'm not gonna provide you the information of like where to find it, just find it, read it, and come to class. He was a bad professor, but we moved, we figured it out. And you guys are gonna figure it out. It's very easy. And you also have support systems with your parents, your homeschooling friends. Because it's not like you're alone. Homeschooled kids are not alone. You guys are homeschooled. Are you at home right now? No? No.
Close enough.
I've never met a homeschooled kid who only lived at home and learned. You're never home. Like, so there are a lot of stereotypes about being homeschooled that are not true, but for some reason homeschooled kids as well believe it. Like, do you have friends?
No. Yes. Rude. No.
I know Amira has friends because I see on her locket constantly. I don't know you, but I'm sure you have friends. Do any of you don't have friends?
No, he doesn't.
That's about Nurhi, it's not about homeschooling. And Nurhi has friends, I see him in the masjid. But you have friends. Are any of you mentally incapacitated?
I hope not.
Exactly. Your parents are here for you a lot more than I'm gonna say the truth in that your parents are, when you're homeschooled, your parents care a lot more about your education, a lot more involved. Like my mother to this day reads every single paper I write. I write a paper in university and I say, Mama, I need help. And Mama has been, since I was 4 years old, she's been teaching me. So she knows how to help me. I have these tools. Just have to use them. I like your sunglasses.
So this concept that like, oh, like we need to be in school 5 days a week, learning a subject.
8 hours.
8 hours.
No, you don't, because all this is teaching you is how to take the exam at the end of the day. All the stuff you're learning it for the SAT or the ACT or the GRE or whatever exam you're taking. And then you get to university and that's where the real learning starts. That's where you actually learn in-depth information. So high school for homeschoolers is just how can I get to college as quickly as possible and better myself at the same time. Because that's the whole point. The whole point is that, okay, it's supposed to take 4 years. Can I do it in 6 months or a year and spend the rest of the time learning how to do other things? Cooking. Like, I love cooking. Why do I love cooking? Because I wasn't in a classroom 8 hours a day because I once told my dad, Baba, I want KFC. And he said, no, make KFC. That was how it was. My dad is a big, my dad and my mom are the reason I am the way I am today. Your parents are the reason you are the way you are today. I'm not the way I am because I had a great teacher when I was young. I'm not the way I am because of anything else other than Allah and my parents. So your parents right now are investing a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of just love into you guys. So you have to see it that way. That they could, look, it's more like, Khatumuna could send all of her kids to a private school or public school or whatever and have a wonderful life. You think Khatumuna wants to be at Wildflower in front of ICPC at 9 a.m. in the morning every day?
Yes.
You do? If you could go to Raymond's and then play squash with your friends and then go home, would you rather that?
I would.
Yes. Khatu Samir would rather that. Khatu Christina would rather that. Khatu Christina would much rather right now be at Raymond's eating French toast. But she's here. Why? Because she cares about her kids to the extent that she wants to ensure that they have the best setup to life. So you guys have to look at it like that. That's it. You have right now a chance. How old are you? 14. You're 14. So you can go to university at 16. You can't. I did it. You, right now, if you look at, what are you interested in?
I like baking.
Okay, so you can go to trade school. You can go to trade school. But you now, say you want to bake, you know that you can take the GRE. You can take the GRE right now, be in baking school next fall. That's all it is. You like something, huh? What she said?
She said that's what I told her.
Yeah. The only thing high school is doing is setting you up for college. The only thing homeschool is doing is saying, why do you have to take 8 years and do it? Why can't we just do it as quickly as possible? That's all it is. Because when you are in a classroom full of kids and you are learning at the pace of the slowest person. In my classroom, the slowest person is if mama can come down before 8:30 a.m. and teach me. That's the only restriction. There's no restriction. The restriction is me. And that's it. So I, as quickly as possible, can learn how to do basic algebra. I don't need a curriculum. I don't need 6 months. You can do it in 2 weeks with Conquer Math. Do you guys use Conquer Math?
What happened?
That was a good one. No.
Go ahead.
I don't know, but like sometimes, like let's say you just want to like learn something on your own without like a curriculum or a teacher, but then you don't really have like the credit. So how are you supposed to write it down on your transcript?
But why does it all have to be about credit? Why can't it just be about learning? My transcript had on it, I'm pretty sure my transcript had on it a once a week Zoom class I did with one of my dad's friends for trading, and it was accredited. Like you can accredit things yourself. I did horseback riding like 3 times. It was on my transcript.
Yeah, anything you do
Anything
is
you
work.
do,
It
yeah.
takes your time. It goes on your transcript.
Yeah.
Nobody has to accredit it. Nobody
It
has
doesn't
to
have to be
say it's
accredited.
worthy.
Like say you paint in your room every day for a year, that's accredited. Yeah. My transcript was the biggest.
Don't say it.
My
You're on camera.
my transcript was just everything I could think of
That you
was
did.
on it.
But you
Yeah.
did.
And it
That's how it
worked.
should
The
be.
things I did, and it worked. So
But you did.
I did them. I didn't lie. Like I had proof I did them.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think you can't, yeah, you have to maximize what you think are small things that you did, right? So even like this week I spent an hour learning how to code, and that's the only thing you ever did, but it can still go on your transcript. That's
So
it.
you have the ability, because if kids who go to school, they have a pretty much set transcript. From the day you enter high school to the day you graduate, I can tell you pretty much what your transcript is going to look like. You, on the other hand, if you right now, this weekend, want to go learn how to go-kart, you can add go-karting to your transcript. Anything you do, anything you care about, can be on your transcript, because homeschooling, the benefit and negative of homeschooling is that you can do whatever you want, which means you can either do nothing or you can do exactly everything. So it's really up to you guys. And
How do you encourage somebody who doesn't really know what they like or what they want to do to discover more things?
you have to experience more things. That's it. Like I like politics because I used to watch CNN in the morning with my dad. Like I don't like politics because I was studying politics. Like, this is the thing. I've never studied politics until I got to university. But if you don't know what you want to do yet, that means you haven't experienced enough things to know what you want to do yet. So you need to go out into the world and go to the science museum and say that, okay, I like this dinosaur. I want to know how dinosaurs, like how we find them. Okay, I want to be a paleontologist. So you have to just go out and experience. Because nobody's gonna, like in homeschooling, like nobody's gonna kind of show you what to do. It's really about what you want to do. So if you guys are undecided, you don't know what you want to do yet, and you're scared, like I don't know what I want to do yet. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Go out, spend 6 months, a year, 2 years, just trying everything. Take master classes, read books. Maybe you like English literature. Because as soon as you have like an inkling of like I like this, you should grab it, explore it, and see if this is what it is for you. I had an inkling, like I didn't care about politics when I went in. I just liked politics. It's not like I knew. My first politics class, not like I was sitting there like, yeah. I don't know anything. Like the professor was like, who here has studied politics? Everybody's hand went up except mine, because I've never done anything in politics. All I know is that I used to watch Trump and Biden and Hillary Clinton, and I used to really enjoy it, and I used to watch Morning Joe and read MSNBC reports, because that was what interested me. And then I went to university, and then in the first class I was like, how is this politics? Like, we're talking about like Plato and Aristotle, like what about this politics? Then slowly but surely, I started to see more and more and more, and then I realized I like this. And if I hadn't liked it, I would have switched my major like that, and I wouldn't have lost any time. Because in the grand scheme of life, losing a year, 2 years, even 4 years is not really that big of a deal. Because it's not like you've lost it. If you, at the end of culinary school, decide, I want to be a lawyer, have you lost 4 years? No, you haven't lost anything. You now have the ability to cook a pretty mean beef Wellington. And you can, if you want, you have a fallback. If it doesn't work to be a lawyer, alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to being a chef. There's no such thing as wasting learning. You don't waste learning. Learning is learning. Just because you don't get a job from it, or just because you don't get a diploma from it, doesn't mean it was wasted. You now, as a person, have a bigger brain. You're more ready for life. So if I graduate politics and I decide, you know what, I want to be a lawyer or a doctor. It's not like I've not been set up. I now know exactly how I'm going to get into this doctor school, a medical school, how I'm going to learn. I know now. I know the drill. So you guys are going to figure it out and then go along for the process. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But it's not wasted. Homeschooling is not wasted. Why are you wearing pajama pants?
It's duo day.
It's what?
Duo day.
We're doing.
We're still
My
not
homeschooling was
explaining
different. My homeschooling was different.
Twinning.
You're just have spirit weekends at home.
No, not at all.
Anyway, thank you
Yes,
so much.
yes.
So you really only have one class a week, like.
No. I have 6 classes a week.
Okay, you said one.
I have 6 classes a week. Each class is 1 hour. So now.
One of our mentors, like her son is in college right now, and she was like telling us about it. I forgot how it started, but she was like, oh, like he has like 3-hour lectures and he has to record the whole thing and then go home and listen to it and then learn it and then write down the notes, and it takes him like all day,
Yeah,
like hours.
Yeah, look. I do the same thing.
I did
When
your brother.
I should have done this.
Yeah.
No.
Like, it sounds like horrible.
No, it's not horrible. Look, at the end of the day, I have 3-hour. I have 1 3-hour class, and I do record it, and I do go home, I do listen to it, and I do write down. I do the same thing, but it's not really like as bad as it sounds. Like, what would have taken you 6 hours to do a regular day of schooling and homeschooling is now taking you the same 6 hours. So it's not that stressful. Like, it's not that big of a deal. I do the same thing. It sounds like a big thing. I have on my phone voice memos of every single class I've ever taken in the university, down to the week, and whenever I need, like, for example, I took a political methodology class, and yesterday I was in New York. I was visiting a professor, and I went to one of her classes, and she brought up something that I kind of remember. I remember we talked about this. I went to the week, and I sat and I listened to it, and I pulled up the whole thing, and I had it as a record. So it's not that big of a deal. Like, it's not like you don't have to do it, but when you're doing something you like to do, it's not hard. Like, I like listening to my lectures. I liked what we were learning, so it wasn't that hard. Not hard.
Are you disillusioned with the entire international political system with what's going on around us?
Yeah.
So has it changed your feelings towards what you're studying?
So it hasn't made me not like politics. It's made me it has made me understand politics. Politics is about who has money, and then who has money, that means who has power. Right now in our world, there's certain people who have the money, and that certain people who have the money, you can see the results in our system. So it's made me realize, it's made me understand very well that, okay, if Muslims want to make a change, it means one thing: we need to have lobby, we need to have money. We have money, we just don't have a collective group. So that means people like me and people like you who study and want to make a change, we understand how the world works and we make it work for us. Just because the world works a certain way and we don't like it doesn't mean it's wrong. It means it's not working in our favor. We need to change it to work in our favor. For example, now, before what's happening with Palestine, I wanted to be an academic. I wanted to do my PhD and I wanted to teach. My dream was to go to do my master's and PhD here, go back to Turkey and build up Turkish and Muslim institutions. So to fight the supremacy of Western university. I wanted to go back and work in the East on our institutions. Now I realize that that is a great dream, it's a great idea, but we don't need it as much right now as we need people who are not, because why is nobody doing anything about Palestine? Because everybody's paid by a certain group. There's lobbies, APAC, they're paid to do, or they're paid. No, go ahead.
I would say then, what do you say about the Saudi family, richest family in the world, in the history of the world?
The thing about the Saudi family from the thing about
Turn it off. Just hit the red button.